I just got through seeing Avengers Age of Ultron, and while I enjoyed the movie, and I was surprised to see, Falcon and War Machine pop up in the movie. While I was happy to see these two black characters on screen, I was not happy with the way they were presented on screen. I mean, when I was watching poor Jim Rhodes in the scenes at the party that they were having, I felt like he was the token brother. I mean, that's the way he was depicted. He was just trying to, just fit in, and he felt real awkward, and he felt just like, you're a black guy in a big white social situation. I don't know if Joss Whedon was trying to do that intentionally, but that's what the way it came across to me. And poor Falcon, he was there, but he didn't really have much to say or much to do. And that really made a statement to me about how black characters are seen, in these Marvel Cinematic Universe, that they're just, like background, and they're not really there to be have a significant contribution to the universe. Um, and when you think of black characters, that's the way they are. They're not really big players in these films, and I really was sad. I mean, while I'm happy to see them, I'm not happy seeing them this way. As a creator of black characters, I usually put black characters at the forefront, and I usually make them the main character of the story, and I usually have the plot revolving around the characters, and it was nice to see it. It was like a little bit of progress, but the way, poor Jim Rhodes, he's in there, he's trying to tell this story. It's like he's trying to fit in with the bigger heroes, and he's not seen, as an equal. He's just seen like a fifth wheel, because my sister one time she told me about this black guy who was around these white guys, and that's what it reminded me of. And they were thinking about what they wanted to get for lunch. She was attending Columbia University at the time, and she's telling me that this black guy, he was with these white guys, and they were thinking about what they wanted. He kept saying, "I've got points, I've got points." Like, he wanted to fit in, he wanted to be liked, and that's the way Jim Rhodes came across in those opening scenes after the battle with Strucker to get Loki's scepter. That's the way he came across, trying to tell his story. He just didn't really fit in, and Falcon was like all the way in the back, and then we don't see, Falcon all the way until they open the Avengers Academy. Um, it's like, are these guys Avengers? Kind of, sort of. It's like they weren't in the big plot. They weren't taking on Ultron. It's like Rhodey comes in as War Machine just when Nick Fury comes in with the Helicarrier Ex Machina, and I really felt, the black characters were given this really big token role, and it was just sad to see, these black characters just treated like Mo the bartender, or even worse, Bleeding Gums Murphy on The Simpsons. They really, I mean, yeah, just the way they were depicted and presented, it was like they were background fodder. They really were not, prominent in the story. When I think of doing black characters, like in stories like I do with the ISIS series, always the story revolves around the black characters. This is just something that I do on a regular basis. I always make sure that the story, you know, the black characters have a significant role in the story. They have a major part of the story. But I understand that, there were just so many characters in Avengers Age of Ultron. And, but it just didn't feel like they were a prominent part in it. It just felt like, they didn't feel like they were Avengers. They felt like they were just, the tokens just thrown in just for the sake of, diversity, so that the film wouldn't look all white or so. I mean, yeah, you had your Nick Fury. Again, he came in a way, again, ex machina kind of way. It just didn't feel organic, or like he was an integral part of the story. And that's what I saw with the black characters. But that's just me, and I'm a guy who writes black characters, and I'm always putting them in the forefront, and I'm always having the story revolve around them. And I'm used to seeing it, in my mind, these black characters, at the forefront and being presented prominently. And when I looked at this movie, I was like, these black characters, they're just really in the background. They really aren't a major part of the story. They're just kind of just blending in, and that really kind of irked me as a creator. You know, I I wasn't a fan of it because I remember Falcon being in the Avengers back. I have those comics when he was an Avenger, back in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and he really didn't get much to do then, and it was sad because he is a great character, but the way they depicted him in those comics, that's what another thing it reminded me of, because they said they only brought him on for equal opportunity, and this is what this felt like. Falcon and War Machine, they were there, but they weren't, integral to the story and integral to the plot points and moving the story forward. I mean, the Helicarrier Ex Machina just kind of came out of nowhere, and then War Machine comes in to mop up Ultron's out of nowhere, and then he just appears and then disappears, and then we see him at the Avengers Academy with the Falcon. And that's not a lot compared to, you know, the rest of the heroes going on missions and taking on bad guys, and these guys are just like, you know, they're in the back. And I really wanted to see, a black character up at the front, but then again, the entire film, a lot of characters really didn't get strong character development because there were just so many characters crammed into one film. But this was another issue that I had, and I wanted to do a separate video about it because when I talk about black characters in fantasy and science fiction, it's something very important to me because I'm a fantasy and science fiction writer. I write a lot of fantasy and science fiction, and it's very important for me, to see black characters, given prominence, and seeing the way that these characters were treated in Avengers: Age of Ultron really motivates me to create my own stories and get them out there because I believe the only way for us to see, African Americans in these type of roles is if we write and publish and produce them ourselves. And seeing this movie and seeing the way both of these African American heroes were treated, you know, gives me more motivation to keep pushing to get my stuff out there because I feel that the best stories that we're going to ever tell are the ones we tell ourselves, and that's something that we really have to go out there and do. Um, and it's something we have to do, and we have to really be more proactive about it. And that's something that's really motivating me to keep pushing and keep trying to move myself forward because I believe the best African American fantasy stories and the best type of comic stories are going to come from other black people, not from non-black people. Um, um, and just seeing the way that these characters were, given the token role, given just pushed into the background. Again, we really have to go out there and make our own stories, tell our own stories, and try to reach, you know, other African Americans and try to bring African American fantasy and make it a stronger genre so that we can, try to build our own audience and build our own readers. And then eventually, I hope one of these days, make our own movies featuring our own characters and our own stories because I believe strongly that there is a market for an African American hero or an African American heroine in the comic book movie genre or the fantasy genre. It just takes, one person having the courage to go out here not only to publish their stories, but to promote them and to, really go out and try to fight to get those stories, put up on screen. Because I really believe that there is an audience. I've seen people go out, all over this world picking up ISIS series stories and even books like The Temptation of John Haynes. So I know there's an audience there. It's just a matter of finding the concept that will break through. And I really want to see, that African American fantasy film, that's created by black people for black people. Because to me, somebody like the Black Panther is not, and I mean, yeah, he's a black hero, but he's not a black hero created by black people. And that's something that I really want to see, produced because, again, as long as non-black people produce our characters, they're going to get treated in this token and an ancillary way, and they're not going to be put to the forefront or even placed as an integral part of the plot. And that's something that really we need to see more often. We need to see more black people, put in those type of stories in prominent roles, and even in a supporting role, we really need to see them, but we're not seeing them. We need to see them up at the front. I really would like to just see black heroes at the front. And really, especially if something, even if you can get a black screenwriter, it's just I want to see some type of black person behind the camera, really putting this together, because a lot of times when it's non-black people, they really, again, they're going to put you in an ancillary role, or they're just going to write your story in a kind of ridiculous or uneven way. And I really want to see a black person do it, because I believe they could tell the story the best way, because they know the black experience, they know black culture, and that's something that I believe would really diversify the superhero comic book movie genre, and make it a whole lot stronger, because people, I believe, are ready to see a black superhero movie, or a black fantasy movie, or a black science fiction movie. I believe that the time is ready, the time is now, and it's just a matter of getting the right concept there. That's all I have to say for this video. You can get a lot of my great books on Amazon, such as Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, with a great cover by Bill Walko from the Hero Business. This book is in paperback and also on Kindle Unlimited. You can also get Isis the Beauty Myth, the story that happens before it, on Amazon in paperback or on Kindle Unlimited. I'm going to be changing the cover of this soon. I've been talking to some people about it, but the cover of this will be changing soon, so you can don't expect to see that cover there. And you can also get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and on Kindle Unlimited. This book is one of the cornerstones to the SJS Direct literary universe. It's one of the best stories I believe I have written. It's a action-packed fantasy, and it's a gateway into the SJS Direct literary universe. And there will be 2 new books coming Memorial Day weekend. That is Isis, Night of the Vampires, and East Eel Undercover. So there's a lot of great African American fantasy reading from SJS Direct. Just head over to the Amazon page. If you click the link in the description box, you'll see all of these books available. The ebook versions, again, are on Kindle Unlimited, so you can get them on Amazon Prime for free. I offer a lot of other great books on Amazon for starting at 99 cents. And there's just, again, a lot of great African American fantasy reading, a lot of there on my page. So there's a lot for you to read. You can take an entire summer to read all of these great books. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.